range, okay, between that range and this zone. So all right, we already have something that looks like a pullback here. We already have something that looks like a pullback. Let me use this. Okay, we already have this bearish closure at the end of Friday market close. Okay, so we may have price. So what we are looking for is to see price bounce off these zones, or the zones of between the 4223 ounce, and we should have a bearish continuations to the 3895, which is 3,895 ounce to the downside. Okay, so clearly gold is still very much bearish from our technical and fundamental perspective.
Hey guys, welcome back to our usual weekly market forecast at my FX right here. So this is a weekly market forecast for the 29th of June to the 3rd of July. So it's also right to tell you guys a happy new month in advance. Okay, so without further ado, if you know that you are new to the channel, please do well to watch this video to the end, smash that subscribe button, drop some fire emoji on the comment section if you feel what we're doing, and let's get over to the business of the day. So we are getting started with gold, XAUSD. So for XAUSD for last week, okay, for XAUSD for last week, XAUSD actually played out into precision just like we anticipated. Okay, you can see we were looking for price to drop from here. This was from 2 weeks ago, okay, which we also held this trade and closed. We closed somewhere around here on Friday. Okay, then before price gave us this pullback, which price was somewhere around here by market open, and I told you guys we'll be having maybe a little range or a slight pullback into the zones before we have that actual drop, which was what actually happened, and price thereafter started dropping all the way to the downside. Okay, so if you had watched our weekly market forecast or the YouTube video in which I normally drop, you would have, this was a very clean, the best and clean setup we had last week. Okay, and a lot of you had sent me screenshots and thanked me on how you were able to use this trade to pass your pro firm account to make money for yourself and several others. Okay, so this is the reason why they call me the prophetic analyst. Because we trade these trades and we call these prices from zones to zones. Okay, so moving forward, let's look at how the last week closed, or how last week actually closed. It's always important you look at the weekly time frame. Okay, the weekly candle closes, and I think in this case the monthly candle closed too, because this is the last candle for the month of June. Okay, this particular candle here is the last candle for the month of June. So we are having is very, very important that we come to the bigger picture of things to look at where price currently is and where price is headed. Okay, so if you are looking at the bearish trajectory, or let's start from the bullish trajectory, we can see that price has been continuously bullish. Okay, price has been continuously bullish for the longest, even before most of you started trading. Okay, since as far back as 5 years ago, even 7 years ago. Okay, gold has been on a bullish trajectory, but these imbalances are making price being very strong. So if you look at it at the bigger picture of things, the closest zones or the next area that I'm seeing gold headed to, but this might look delusional, but this is the real deal. I've been saying this for the past 2 to 3 weeks now, that the next level that we're looking gold to headed is actually the zones of the 3,000, okay, 3,300 ounce. Okay, 3,400, 3,300 ounce, between 3,400 and 3,300 ounce. Then from these zones we may most likely have a pump. Okay, but this is not something that is going to take 2 days or 1 week. Okay, so it may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or so, okay, for price to get here. Okay, so but I'm just giving you guys a bigger perspective of things. But let's dive into the weekly time frame to see how last week actually closed. Okay, so this is actually that zone here which I marked out from the monthly time frame, so you can see it's very much valid. Okay, and if for those of you that are my students, if you're looking left, you know what this means. This is the very a great void. Okay, it's just like an imbalance. It's actually an imbalance, not just like, it's actually an imbalance there on the left hand side of price. So price will most likely want to cover all of this void, okay, and hence why we'll be heading to this next side. So any trade calls, I wish I had actually held the last trade that we took last week on XAUSD till the coming weeks or till this week. We would have still been swimming in profit, but I did not just feel right to want to hold the trade. I don't know why, unlike me that I like holding trades, okay, but either which way we still made money and we are still going to make more money. Okay, so what we'll be doing is looking for the base levels or the base zones to take the next trade call for XAUSD. So I'm going to, right, so if we keep it at the monthly or the daily time frame, this looks super clean on the daily time frame. Okay, so what we'll be looking for is more pullbacks for the coming weeks, more like a buy back to these zones between, I can bring this down a little bit, between the zones of the 4167 ounce, and we'll have a drop to the 4061, and we can go all the way to 3896 to the downside. Okay, so that's it for the daily time frame. But let's look at the 4-hour time frame if you can find nearest zones, okay, a more minor zones that we can take this from. So I'm going to mark out another zones like so. Okay, I'm going to mark out another zones like so on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so here on the 4-hour time frame we have two zones, okay, two significant zones that we'll be looking for price rejections from. So phase zones, our phase zones is between the 4112 ounce, okay, so this phase zones, and we'll be looking for price to drop from there to the downsides, or we'll see price come to the second zones, which is the zones of the 4177, okay, or the 4189, okay, and you may be having more drops all the way to the 3886. All right, so we are still very much bearish. Okay, so all what we need to see is price to give us a buy to sell scenarios. And if you also look at how price has been moving and you want to place a trend line, but I don't like using trend lines, okay, you can see how nicely this trend line works. Okay, price bounce off here the third time, and we most likely have, if this level fails, we should be looking for a foot bounce on this trend line somewhere around there. Okay, so that's it for XAUSD. Up next is the DXY. Is price to give us pullbacks. Okay, pullbacks to the 100 points or the $100. Okay, the $100 zones, which is these areas which I've marked out, and a bullish continuations back to 100% retracement level, which is the 100% retracement level. In this case, is the 100.66866. Okay, the 100.866 for the DXY, and we can even go to the next level, which is the 101.4 to the upsides. Okay, so these are actually the zones or the areas in which we are looking for price continuations. Okay, so here on the DXY, we had price coming to the areas or close to the areas actually, which there was a phase zone here. We had a second zone somewhere around here too that we're expecting price to pull back. Okay, but price rather respected these phase zones before that massive push to the upside. All right, so these other zones that we're looking for price to come deeper did not play as planned, but the phase zones actually played out as planned. So here we are now, have price giving us a higher high. So we have seen most likely a new higher low created, so we'll be expecting price to pump from here all the way to the upside. Okay, but I'm going to give you one scenario, okay, two areas to take the bullish calls from, or I could also, let's use this to mark this out like so. Yeah, so I'm going to take this out. So all what we need to see is price to pull back here, which that had already happened on Friday market close. Okay, and we'll be expecting price to go back to 100% retracement level, which is the 101,500, and we can target as high as 102, 102, 1012, okay, to the upsides. Or we could also see price come as deep at these previous zones, which would now give us something like a double bottom here before we could now have a bullish trajectory or bullish movement, regardless, all the way to the upside of the 1015. Then we can go all the way to the 101. Okay, so but let's look at the monthly time frame. It's always important to look at how the monthly time frame closed. Okay, each new month that begins, so we can see this massive breakout. So finally we now have a breakout. On the DXY above these areas in which price has been ranging for as long as since May 2025, which is like 1 year now. So we have been on this range. For like 1 year, more than a year and some months right now. Okay, so finally we now have price breakout of this range, and you can see that resistance being broken out. So this is a very good significance for us that price is ready to project all the way to the upsides. And like I always say, if you are my mentees, you know what this means. Okay, you can already see what price is doing there. Okay, looking left, you can see that imbalance. So it's a no-brainer that price would also do what would feel this would be replicated at this other end of the market or price too. Okay, so let's go to the weekly time frame to see how the weekly time frame actually closed to. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, we had 2 weeks of bullishness, which we were able to take advantage to. So all what we just need to see is more bearishness to price. Price would come back to the $100. We may have as a deeper pullback that deep to $100 or 100 points before we would have that actual bullish projections to the 102. Okay, to the upside. So that's actually it on the bigger picture of things. Okay, here on the daily time frame too, we can see a very clean chart. Looking left, we can see this previous resistance. So could even have, it could be a case of by next week, okay, it may have more of pullbacks. Okay, we may have price trying to cover all of this, but I would love this to happen. Price to give us that proper deep pullback here, okay, to this $100 100 points before that bullish continuations. Okay, market structure wise, that will help us to have a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and a proper higher low for the higher time frame before price continuations. Okay, so the two zones in which we actually marked out are very much valid. Okay, they are very much valid, just like I said. So you'll be expecting moves, okay, either from this first zone, which we had that reaction to the upsides, or the second zone of the $100 or the 100 points to the upside. So that's it for the DXY. Next is GBpUSD. For GBpUSD last week, actually price was bullish, but price did not go as deep as the zones in which we marked up. Rather, what price did was to react off these little minor zones instead of the proper deeper pullbacks into the previous area. Okay, so like I said, it's always important to look at your monthly time frame when price is about to, when a new month or a previous month candle is about to close. It's always important to look at the coming month's candle or how price looks, and this is also part of our top down analysis. Okay, so we can see here on the monthly time frame, price has been ranging for the longest, and I also think it's like for a year now. Okay, since June last year till date, price has been on this range, which we can see here. So, and price is also reacting off this resistance. And if you also look at price action wise, All right, you see that price is creating series of highs, lows, highs, higher low, higher low, lower low, higher low. So we are expecting price to create a new higher low here before a bearish continuations to the downside. Okay, so we go to the weekly time frame to see if we can find the best possible area. Nothing much. Okay, price, you can now clearly see that box there, that range on the daily, on the weekly time frame. Nothing much. Last week actually closed with this doji candle. You can see little to nothing for last week, so that means we had more of bullishness and bearishness at the same time. So both buyers and sellers had a good week for last week. Okay, so this is how price closed. So we could even have more pullbacks, just like I said. We could even have more pullbacks again to these zones. I think I should mark this out from the bigger picture of things. I like what I'm seeing here. All right, so we could even have price come back to these zones of the 1.3295, then bearish continuations, then we can go all the way to the downside. Okay, but let's look at the daily time frame to see what price has for us there. Okay, so it's actually the same thing. It's actually the same thing that we're having here on the daily time frame. Okay, so I'll take this out because this was the thumbnail for last week. So all what you'll be needing is, so we'll keep it at the daily time frame, guys. Okay, all what you'll be needing is, most likely we should have more pullbacks. Okay, more like a buy sell scenarios. Okay, we could have price pullback into the 1.33030. okay, then we could have price come back to 1.168, and we could have a massive bearishness to the 1.303. okay, let's see how many pips drop that would be if price starts falling from there. So that would be like almost 300 pips. Let's say 280 pips drop. Okay, and if price moves from where price currently is here, let's see how many pips that would be. Over 160 pips drop. Okay, so we are looking for a two-way scenario. So price may come back, pull back into these areas before that drop, or we could have a little break, a retest somewhere around these zones, because if we go to the 4-hour time frame, you see a minor zone here, and we would have price continuations to these zones, which is the 1.3039 to the downside. Okay, so that's it for GBPUSD. Up next is Eurusd. So last week price did not give us that deep pullback like we wanted. Okay, I wanted price to give us that deep pullback into the zones before the actual drop. Okay, well, what we had was price moving from these zones. Okay, this support here and all the way to the downside. But regardless, just like I said, price actually obeyed or respected our bearish trajectory of things. Okay, so let's see how price closed for the monthly time frame. Like I said, it's always important to look at how price closed on the monthly time frame. So here, if you look at the trend of price, this is a very clean and nice trend. Okay, we are having here on the monthly time frame, we can see series of highs, low, highs, low, higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low, higher low, and we are expecting price to create a new lower low. Okay, so but this is going to take a very long time. All right, but we are already seeing this all already looking nice. Okay, into play. So most likely we will be having this month's candle close with this bearish engulfing candle. So all what we need to do is to go to lower time frames like the daily, the hourly time frame, to look for the best levels that we can catch price from there. I even forgot that this was a range on the monthly time frame. Oh my god, I forgot this was a range. Okay, so for those of you that follow us even on the free channel, know that my range strategy. Okay, that when price does what, when price breaks out of a range and retests the range again, it's going to make the same numbers of pips. Okay, it's going to be a free fall. Okay, so what I do in this case is I measure the range, okay, the height of the range. So if this alright, so if this height of the range is like, let's see how many pips this is. Okay, so if this height of the range is like 200 pips, which is actually 300 pips, so what you do in this case, you bring it outside the box. and so we'll be having same 300 pips breakout, easy busy. Okay, you can take this to the bank. You heard it here first. So Euro USD is going to do a 300 pips drop to the downsides. Admire FX said so, and I told you guys here first before any other person did. Okay, so you know these are the reasons why they call me the prophetic analyst. So we are expecting Euro USD to give us same 300 pips plus of drop outside this breakout, after this breakout. So verily, this would be the time that you guys would be most likely seeing me holding a trade for another two weeks, 3 weeks, and even 4 weeks and beyond. Okay, so it's been a while I held trade that long, but these are the kind of setups that I see and I hold the trade for long. I wish, just like I said on gold, I wish I had held that of gold and alongside GBP and Euro USD trades that we took 2 weeks ago. If I did, I would have been in all of these profits. If I did, I would have been in all of these profits. See these two candles? Would have been in those two candles, and those two candles would have been a total of how many pips? Let's see, a total of almost 250 pips drop. Okay, so that doesn't also matter because we still have more opportunities to enter. So this is why you have to follow our page real good, follow our free signal group, and join our free Telegram community, because I would be sending this trade calls all for free. I've been doing this for the longest, all for free and no charges. Okay, so let's go to the daily time frame. Let me check the daily time frame. Nothing much on the daily time frame, but let me give you guys a perspective on the daily time frame. We could still have a little pullback here, okay, to the 1.143, and we have that drop, or we could have a crazy bullish week and price may come back here to these other zones. But I would prefer price to be on these phase zones than that drop. But be it as it may, price may still want to get to this other area of the 1.1500 before that drop. Okay, but either which way, we know how well to take price calls from. Okay, so already, as we can see, already we have that pullback into the face levels. All right, we already have that pullback. Price closed last week into the face levels, so we should be expecting price to drop all the way to 1.132, and the next level that we would be targeting is the 1.121. Let's see how many pips drop that is from here to here. So that's like 230 pips plus to the downsides. Regardless, we could still have price go as deep as these other zones of the 1.1500 before we have that drop to 1.132 area. Okay, so if price opens properly, we could jump into this trade. We don't mind taking that loss. Okay, but this is a very good entry for us. We could jump into this trade from here and we can take price all the way to the downside. Okay, so that's it for Euro USD. Up next is US oil.
This is the next zones, buy to sell scenarios, and we are expecting price to bounce off between the 80 points, okay, the $80 per barrel and the $81 per barrel. Okay, so we're expecting more bumps, okay, of price to be bullish to the $80 per barrel or the $81 per barrel. Then we will be having that bearishness all the way to the downsides, and our next level target on the US oil would be the $70 per barrel.
Okay, so for US oil for last week, okay, US oil for last week actually played into precision just like we wanted, though it felt slightly away from the actual zones. Okay, but technically, if you look well, you see that where price reacted from, which is this area, okay, which is this area, is also very close to that zone. And if I squeeze my screen, you see that there is a wick here. So if I extend this to this wick, you see, all right, you see that price is actually reacting. You can see, so price is technically reacting on that areas of interest. Okay, regardless, so we had I call this drop, okay, and we had a super bearish week all the way down to the downside. Like I told you guys, the month of June was awesome for us. I even showed you guys our withdrawal this thing on the general community or the Telegram community. If you are not there, you can go to my Telegram community and see the consistent wins and the consistent withdrawal that we have made for the month of June. So we are very grateful to God for the month of June. It was awesome, good trade signals that were being sent, and I'm also happy I was able to transfer this to you guys to also make money for yourself using our trade signals and our trade calls. Okay, so moving forward, just like every other trade, we are looking at the monthly time frame to see what happens technically on US oil. Okay, so we have had 2 weeks of bearishness on US oil, massive 2 weeks, or 2 months rather, 2 months of bearishness on US oil. Nothing much. Okay, we still see more drops on US oil if due to the World Cup, like I said, due to the World Cup and other fundamentals that are going on alongside. So here on the weekly time frame, oh man, so we had that break, that retest, and price has dropped. So all what we need to do is look for the best nearest possible area to take our next set of trade calls from for the weekly time frame. So I'll keep it at the daily time frame to make things a lot cleaner for us. I'll keep it at the daily time frame for now. All right, so what we are having right now from here, I'll give you guys a 2-way scenario. We could have a new week of price coming back into that zone, or I could expand this like so. Okay, so we could have price more like a buy to sell scenarios. Okay, let me use another. All right, more like a buy to the 78.79 barrel per ounce, dollar per ounce, and a drop back to 99.790 per ounce. Okay, let me take this out. Okay, we buy to $78 per barrel and $70 per barrel for the US oil, and we could be looking for our next support, which is somewhere around here. Let's looking left. Our next support is somewhere around here, but that's massive before price will get there. All right, so let's still look at the daily or the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame would be a little bit easier. All right, 4-hour time frame, going to mark out the minor zones like so, and we'll still keep this one abreast. Okay, so what we need to see is price to pull back into this area and a drop to let's look left to look for the next support. That support is quite far. All right, so our next support is somewhere around here. All right, so price to come back to $71 per barrel, and we'll be seeing price go to $64 per barrel, and we can even go as high as price going to $78 per barrel. Okay, more like a buy to sell scenarios, and will drop to $64 per barrel. Okay, so that's it for US oil. Do well to mark this out on your phone or your trading device. Okay, last but not the least, Usdchf. So for Usdchf for last week was crazy. No pullbacks, no nothing on the bigger picture of things. I think, but the pullbacks, there will definitely be pullbacks on the minutes time frame, which I rarely trade that. Okay, so minutes time frame pullback. If you trade from the 5-15 minutes, you would have made good money with this. Okay, before we have this second pullbacks. Okay, but let's look at the monthly time frame. Like I said, it's very important to look at the monthly time frame of every price. Okay, so here on the monthly time frame, there's something we are seeing price now giving us our bullish pullbacks here, and if you look deep inside here, you see I'm very sure this is a divergence. I don't even have to pull my tool. All right, I'm very sure that this is a divergence of price. Okay, price is coming down on the RSI and price is going up here. Okay, so this is a divergence, so we could be having more pullbacks back to this area of interest on the monthly time frame. So price looks bullish, clean and bullish on Usdchf. Nothing much here, but I could still mark out here between here and here. So on the weekly time frame, this is the nearest support. So let's go to the daily time frame. Okay, so all what I need to see for the daily time frame, this is nice. Okay, so let's stick to the daily time frame. If USDCHF plays out just like I'm looking forward to, it will be a very nice trade for us to take. So what we'll be looking for next week is a pullback to these zones of the 0.80300. And all right, let me do this again. Pull back to the 80.300, then we should be seeing a bullish continuations to back to the 0.8145 and 0.822 to the upside. Okay, so we are looking for more like a sell to buy scenarios. Why is this so? We are on a bullish trajectory. We can see that price has been moving a series of highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, and so we are expecting price to create a new higher low and a new higher high from here. So keep your fingers very crossed on USDCHF. Do well to mark this out on your phone or your trading device. So that's it for this week, guys. Once again, happy new month, guys, and I'm wishing you a profitable trading week ahead. Always, if you are not, smash the subscribe button, smash the subscribe button. Like, if you are not on a free Telegram community, click on the link on the description or the first comment to join our free Telegram community. There we send free forex educational content, that's it, and signals. Okay, always remember to plan your trades and trade your plan. Happy new month, and wishing you guys a profitable trading month ahead. Cheers.